The Pirate Caterpillar is up for sale again. Now, you got to beat the Pirate Swarm to get the badge to be able to buy the ship, but there it is. It is in the store once again. As someone who has owned this ship for, I think, just about 3 years, over 3 years, I think. It was June 2016 when I got it. It's been flying. I think it was about maybe a little while after that. I can't quite remember. I'd have to go back and dig it up. But I've got a lot of experience flying this ship for a long, long time. And I've enjoyed the hell out of it. And so if you're looking at the ship and you're thinking, should I get it? Shouldn't I get it? I'm going to talk to you about what I think are the strengths, what I think are the weaknesses of this ship, some of the unknowns, some of the big question marks attached to it, and what it's like to use the ship on a day-by-day basis. Now, first off, I want to say that while you may buy the ship and think this is, of course, the ticket to millions of UEC, it has so much cargo capacity, the most of any ship currently flyable in the game. Clearly, it is going to make me millions of UEC. No, not so fast. And that's the first thing I want to tell you, is that the game's stability doesn't really play into the use of the Caterpillar as a cargo hauler. The game can kick you out at any time with little or no warning and with very little hope of recovery. So I want to tell you that right off the bat. So if you're thinking that this is the key to millions of UEC, it's possible, but you may want to go and play the game at very low population times when the servers are generally at their most stable, because any one little disconnection, anything will basically lose you the ship and lose you your cargo with pretty much no hope of recovery. So that's something to bear in mind. That's the reality of the situation. When the game is more stable, when the game better supports a ship like this and the possibilities that that come with it, then it will obviously become a much stronger candidate in the future. But right now you have to know about that weakness and you have to realize it. That's why I call mine the Gambler. And I've made videos about this in the past where I've gone and I've filled it up with cargo. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. There was one video in particular where I burned up almost 1 million UEC worth of cargo on an accident while I was trying to take off, when all of a sudden the ship just decided that the cargo was too heavy. Though lately, when I've been flying the ship and ripping it up out of atmosphere fully loaded with cargo, I have had nowhere near those issues. So something to bear in mind with this ship. That aside, how have I enjoyed it? I think that it is fantastic. I mean, here you can see me. I've got a ship fully loaded with cargo again, and I'm just pulling up out of the atmosphere, and this thing rips. It rips out of the atmosphere. It handles more like a Vanguard or a slower Cutlass than it handles like a cargo ship. And maybe that's one of the things that kind of makes it a bit of a pirate ship, is that it is so fast for a ship of its size, and it does pack a fair amount of punch. Not a lot, but those are size 4 guns on those turrets. Now, the guns that it comes with are kind of garbuncle, but I mean, you could replace them with better things like attritions in a size 4. Probably make it a little bit more of a danger, though, with torpedo bombers out there and all that sort of stuff. Probably not as dangerous as you would like it to be if you're going to be using it for piracy. So it's probably better as, a part of a larger force, something that is there to fire in a little support and haul away the cargo once the prey has been taken down, that sort of thing. I don't think that this is going to be a ship that is going to be winning any trophies for its direct engagement capabilities. Another thing to bear in mind. Now, the cargo modules, you can see them here. There are 4 of them that are supposed to be changeable to other modules. We don't know what those modules are going to be. We've gotten some hints. We've gotten some possibilities. But CIG has not really firmed up on that. And along with the command module, which is supposed to be detachable from the rest of the ship, you can see me flying the ship from the command module. That is not currently functional. That detachability to act as a lifeboat, to act as an escape vehicle currently does not function, and it is probably not something that you're going to see anytime soon. CIG recently touched on the subject, but they revealed more the difficulties that they are going to face when they take that problem on, but not giving us a timeline, obviously, as to when they hope to even start working on solving those problems. Now, as you can see right here, I've shown you some continuous footage of me ripping up out of the atmosphere of Daymar, and you can see how quickly this ship gets up to orbit. This isn't like a Starfarer. This is a whole different animal, and it hauls more cargo than a Starfarer. And it can take some pretty sharp angles, even when fully loaded, up out of the atmosphere of large bodies like a planet. So, something to bear in mind. The characteristics of this ship are fairly unique. I would almost say that it's probably closer to something like a Millennium Falcon than it is to a dedicated cargo hauler. Now, before I said that, its weapon systems aren't the greatest in the world. They really aren't. But when you combine that with the speed and the handling of the ship, and it's got fairly decent HP and shield capacity, it can prove to be something of a challenging prey to take down because it's got that speed. Getting up to it fairly quickly, especially in space, it can get up to 892 meters a second, which may not sound like a lot to a fighter pilot, but when you're trying to outmaneuver a ship and you're having to travel at that speed to chase it down, it makes it a lot more difficult to kind of get out of the way of those turrets, especially if you can put actually decent weapons in those turrets. Now, speaking of weapons, the ship also has a heck of a lot of weapon storage capacity. But that, of course, is the nature of a lot of the civilian vessels in the Star Citizen universe. They focus more on the ability to carry weapons for whatever missions you may do with those ships, whereas something like a dedicated military ship like a Hammerhead focuses more on places to store your unique wardrobe options in the Star Citizen universe. So another thing to think about, if you're buying this ship, it's more geared towards carrying weapons than it is to carrying your wardrobe. So another thing to bear in mind if you're going to buy this ship. If you're looking for more of a fashionista setup, the Hammerhead is probably more your speed. Oh, look, more weapon storage capacity. Anyways, another thing that you may want to think about, and this is something that I would be very cautious in, is that, this ship has a fairly large computer room, and we're heading up there now. Recently, CIG talked about things like AI blades that can control turrets. And in here in the computer room, you can see a heck of a lot of computer systems and equipment, but CIG has never given us definite values or what their intention is to how they're going to implement it beyond the fact that these are things that are going to exist in the game. So the idea that you can remotely control the larger turrets on the ship or allow AI to control them is a bit of an unknown. You can, of course, hire an AI crewman or bring another player along to operate those turrets, but for them to operate independently, that is still a question mark. So don't look at that and look at that computer room and think, oh yeah, there's tons of space in there. I can totally store I can totally put a couple of AI blades there and make my turrets automated. That's not a guarantee. That's a possibility, but it is not a guarantee. So if you're looking at these turrets and you're thinking, oh, well, I'll be able to control these soon enough, it may not work that way. So that is something to consider. Some people, they get a little overexcited about things and they look at it and they say, oh, it's going to be able to do this and it's going to be able to do that. It's possible. It's not guaranteed and it has never been promised. Though, AI controlled turrets are something that is coming. With this ship, it is not a guarantee. So just bear that in mind. Now, apart from that, you're probably wanting me to kind of wrap this up and tell you what I think overall of the ship. Do I enjoy it? Have I enjoyed flying it? Do I think it holds a lot of promise for the future, even though there obviously are some big question marks around this ship? And I would say that even with those question marks, even with the command module not being able to detach currently and possibly not for quite some time, with the addition of the different cargo modules, we're walking through them right now, that can allow different functions for the ship. Apart from the fact that they're changeable, nothing beyond that has been promised, though we've been given some tantalizing hints. nothing has really existed. And the turrets, yeah, well, we've talked about that. So I think that looking into the future, what are you going to get if you buy this ship? In a much more stable game, you're going to get a damn good cargo ship. You really are going to get a damn good cargo ship. And a cargo ship that potentially, with the right weapons on it, because the stock ones are garbage, possibly going to be a little bit of an interesting combat vessel. Let's put it that way. There are interesting possibilities here, though remember, it is not, a military vessel. It is a civilian vessel. So the grade of weapons that it can carry could be somewhat disappointing versus an outright military ship. And, there are some dangers in the Star Citizen universe, so running cargo with it is not all that safe currently. But in the future, as more systems come online and as the game becomes more stable, this could end up being a really, really strong ship. This could be next to the Cutlass in terms of value, in terms of functionality, in terms of opening doors for the activities that you want to take on in the universe rather than closing them. It is positioned to be a very strong ship, even with the bare bones features that it has now. There are other things that are supposed to come with this ship, but they are not here yet. But even with what we have now, this has the potential to be a very strong moneymaker and a very good ship to have. But you have to know about the weaknesses, and you have to accept that some of the things that you're hoping to see on the ship may not materialize for a long time. For me, the Caterpillar represents my core game package in the Star Citizen universe. It is, the game package that all my early, rewards, all our early backer rewards that we got, all of that stuff is tied to this ship. And that, I think, is something of a testament to, my desire to keep this ship. Since acquiring it, I have never really regretted it. There are some things that I don't really like about the ship, but overall, the strengths far outweigh that, and that's kind of the faith that I put behind this ship. It is my core game package now. This, along with the 2 Dragonflies that it came with, though, of course, the packages that are available now may be different than the packages that we got back then. So I'm not saying, getting it automatically comes with 2 Dragonflies, but that's what it came with for me. And yeah, I've just really never regretted getting it. I'm very excited to see where the game is going to take this ship. And I think that it has a very solid foundation as a cargo ship to make it a very lucrative ship in the future. And yeah, that's basically how I feel about it. I think that there are some question marks, but it holds a lot of strong potential. And that is how I feel about this bad boy here. But just remember, the reason why I call it the Gambler right now is when you go out there and you load it up with cargo, you're rolling the dice and you're taking your chances.
Thank you for watching. So if you want to keep up with the latest and greatest in Star Citizen and Squadron 42's development, please follow us on our social media channels. See you soon.